This is a leading lady raspberry bee balm, blooming for the first time. I just planted it. Gorgeous. The new bee balm is looking pretty dapper and promising for when it grows. I think I'm gonna really like it. I have several types of bee balm, and some are blooming, some are not. I figured I'd better get out here before the ones that were blooming are not anymore. This is a leading lady raspberry, and it's almost done blooming. Got quite a few blooms. I just planted it. I like that it's short. This is the Bubblegum Blast bee balm, and I rather like it. I like the color. It came from Etsy, of all things, of a tiny plant that I put in the ground last autumn, and now you see how beautiful it is. So we're going to sit with it for just a bit. So the scientific name for bee balm is Monarda, and it's also known by bergamot or horsemint or Oswego tea. And it's in the Lamiaceae or the mint family. I have several varieties. All but one is new to my garden. We'll look at the Monarda fistulosa in a little while. It's not quite blooming yet, so I'll also have to wait for it to bloom. It's extremely tall, and I don't like too tall of a plants in my garden. That's what I've figured out. Oh, look, see the bee? It loves bee balm. I wouldn't know why. It's in the name. Let's see. Hello, bee. So the fistulosa is the native variety. I have another one. I don't think it's blooming yet. Monarda didyma, D-I-D-Y-M-A. And didyma is Latin meaning pairs, or stems are in pairs. And didyma is also known as the scarlet bee balm and has red brocks. So it's a special thing, but I have a hybrid variety of it. And my hybrid variety is called Pardon My Cerise. I don't know, I'm anxious to see it bloom. I also have one called Leading Lady Raspberry. We just looked at that. It's a hybrid. And Sugar Buzz Bubblegum Blast. So I have two that say bubblegum. They might be the same variety that I bought different years. So I'm looking at this, and so some of these bloom early summer to midsummer, some of them midsummer to late summer. So when you're shopping for bee balm, shop for not only the height, but when it blooms, so you can have blooms at different times of the year in your garden. So when you are shopping, shop not only for the height, but also shop for when they bloom, so that you can have things blooming at different times in your garden. And of course color too. Shop for color. These look kind of nice right beyond the salvia, the purple salvia that's down there. I remember I was familiar with bergamot as an ingredient in tisanes, which is tea. They call them teas, but they're really not teas unless they're the official tea plant. So they're called tisanes if they have this bergamot. I'm a tea fanatic, and long before I realized it was called bee balm and grown in the garden, I knew about bergamot. And then I just had to have some bee balm or bergamot in my own garden. And my first variety turned out to be too tall. I'll show that to you. I still have it. The name Monarda is to honor a Spanish botanist, Nicholas Monardes, who first wrote about this plant in 1574 of all things. That's a long time ago. He wrote about it in a book describing plants of the New World, that being America. So that would have been the northeastern part of America. The name Bergamot is because it smells similar to a bergamot orange. This is a scientific name of Citrus bergamia, which I understand is found in Florida and other warmer climates. And I'm not even sure if they're sold in Missouri. So there isn't a bergamot orange, and apparently this flower smells like that. Now the name bee balm is because the plant is used to soothe bee stings, but I would think bees also love it. But a balm is usually some sort of ointment that you rub on yourself, and so I'm imagining the Native Americans and early people would make a balm with it to put on stings. And the name Oswego tea is because the Oswego Indians in the state of New York used it. You can use this plant for tea, as we mentioned, but also for essential oils. That's very common. You'll see it not listed as bee balm, but you'll see essential oils with the name bergamot in it. Those essential oils are often used to keep away mosquitoes. And the Native Americans used bergamot for tea and for medicinal uses, such as an antiseptic, and also for seasoning meats. That's interesting. I have taken my bee balm before and put it in ice cube trays and filled it up with water and froze it, and it makes beautiful ice cubes for drinks. Even if you just want to have water and make your drink feel special. Both the leaves and the flowers, so there's some nice leaves down here, they're all edible and are all used for tea. So you can pluck these leaves and dry them and make your own tea. Tisane varieties. You might put bergamot with spearmint or lemon balm and other garden herbs to make your own special tea. Now the flowers are really weird to me, but I do like how they make a statement of color in the garden. And the flower, it sets on a whorl of brock, so we'll look closer in a second. That is one reason why it looks weird, and the other reason is that it has spiky parts sticking up that make it look weird. I'll finish reading this before we look closer. I deadhead flowers to encourage more blooms, but after it's done blooming, you cut it to the ground and it comes back the next year. And the other thing in my study notes, and I have this problem, I think, in my garden right now, we'll look at it with the tall original variety. These varieties may be, the hybrid ones may be more resistant, but they do have a powdery mildew, which is a big problem. And the best way to combat it is to give the plants plenty of airflow, so do not crowd it around other plants. Once it gets the powdery mildew, it's kind of done for the year. After it finishes blooming, you just kind of can't stand to look at it, and you cut the leaves back and it comes back the next year. So you see it has little spiky things coming out the top. Now the broct is what the flower sets on. Often it's a papery thin little piece that's there. You can see it before it blooms, but here I don't know if these are the brocks. I thought it was describing this part in here as a broct, but I've never felt one of these. This is very soft in here. I guess I maybe felt one because I put them in ice cubes. I would think that these are the Brocs, but the way I was reading in this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it has 5, and oh, I smell it. Now that I've knocked it around, I smell it. But I have forgotten what I was going to say. I have read that the Brocs also take on the color of the flower, and I can see a little pink on these, and I can't tell if it's the pink reflection. It almost looks like a pink reflection, or the flower itself. Aren't they funny looking? They're so weird. They are super weird. Look at that little guy. Here's another one over here. They're weird, but I do like them because they give this pow of color in my garden. I have another one here. I think that's the other bubblegum one. You know, I may have gotten 2 of the same plant. Kind of looks like it. So here is my tall bee balm, and I did just trim it. You can trim it to keep it shorter, and I had it over there in my raised beds and did not like it at all. So, you know, here's one, and you see it's sprawling out everywhere, and back there are the 2 I cut because they were they were all the way up here already. But you see this one here has powdery mildew on it. The other's not so much. Well, this one too. So it does have that problem, and it does have some little buds coming out. I don't know if I can get it to focus. They're coming out right there, the little buds. So I'll come back and film this when it's blooming. Just below the wild bergamot one, the purple one, I have one that I just planted. This one's the Didyma one. Love my cerise or something like that. It hasn't bloomed yet either, but it looks healthy. Just planted. Well, I only have this tall bee balm and this one small spot, and it's not prolific like it was, but it will get there. This one has fallen over, and you can see it's not as showy as the others, but I wanted to make sure I waited for it to bloom so you could see what it looks like. You can see there's a bud there, and there's several more getting ready to come out here. It's kind of fun blowing on the wind. And even though this has plenty of air around it, look at this. Powdery mildew. So this is the more native variety. You can definitely see how it is susceptible to this powdery mildew, and it's just not my favorite plant, but I absolutely love the small varieties. I have made these in ice cubes, and they do look a lot of fun there. There's another one that's fallen onto my Easter lily, so I think I may stake these up. But you see how it has fallen over, and it's growing upward from there. So it does follow the sun.